My name is Suri Deitch, and I'm Dean of the School of Professional Advancement, and really appreciate you joining us this evening for an informational session about our graduate and post-baccalaureate programs. I'm joined by Sheila Gold, who's our Executive Director of Recruitment and Admissions, and our colleague Ann Conlon, who runs the slides behind the scenes. I'm wondering if each of you could put your name in the chat box at the bottom of the screen and tell us where you're calling in from, and if you know which program you're interested in. If you could tell us that too, that would be great to know. All right, so while folks are going ahead and putting that into the chat box, I'll just say that you should feel free to put questions or comments in the chat at any point during this webinar, and Sheila and I will address them as we can, and if something requires follow-up, then you'll hear from us afterward. The School of Professional Advancement, SOPA, as we call it, is part of a long-time commitment at Tulane University to offering applied academic programs that are relevant to the workplace and to teaching working adults, which many of our graduate students are. So this goes all the way back to the founding of the university as the Medical College of Louisiana. And the first version of SOPA actually started in the 1880s with teacher education. So we're proud of that history, and we're glad to do it in a 21st century fashion, which means that much of it can be done online. So we're glad to have you here to learn about it. So this webinar is a general webinar about our graduate programs and our post-baccalaureates. We'll give you a little bit of information about the specific academic programs, but you should also know that we have webinars for each of our program areas, including kinesiology, which includes the health and wellness management program. So again, if you don't mind putting your name and your location and the program you're interested in the chat box, that would be great. And in the meantime, I'll give you a little bit more information about what we're going to cover during this session. So we always start out talking about online programs because that is a big focus of ours at the graduate level. And we have students all over the world, actually, about half in the Gulf Coast region and half across the United States and around the world. So we're glad to be able to offer these online programs and give you a little more information about them. Like I said, we'll talk quickly about our programs and faculty, though you can get a lot more in-depth information in the program-specific webinars. We'll talk about student support, including academic advisement. And then I'll turn things over to Sheila to talk more about important things like tuition and admissions deadlines and all of that information. So first, just to talk some about online learning at SOPA. As we come to the end of this pandemic in many ways, in the United States at least, universities who in many cases had to go online without a whole lot of notice in spring of 2020 are much more well-versed in online education than they had been. But those of us who've been doing this for a long time, like at SOPA, are actually, I would argue, in an even better position because we have a well-designed model for learning and teaching online that is highly interactive, has lots of different kinds of materials, really takes advantage of both what you can do when you're synchronous, like we are right now, when you're all online at the same time, and of the kinds of work that you can do when you're on your own time, which is, as you probably realize, especially valuable for people who have multiple things going on in their lives, work, children, family, whatever the case, volunteering, whatever the case might be. So we feel great about the model for online learning that we've developed over the past several years. And in the next slide, we have just some data points that talk about numbers of students, numbers of programs, numbers of faculty trained to do this work, and the fact that we have award-winning programs that reflect our expertise and our knowledge in this area. In the next slide, we give you a little bit of an idea of our faculty. So we have a mix of full-time faculty at SOPA, and many of whom, or most of whom, actually come from industry, like the folks on the right side of the screen, Tyra Mitchell, who teaches in our kinesiology programs, and Ralph Russo, who directs our information technology and cybersecurity programs. And they're backed up by a large number of adjunct faculty who are active in the field and teach for us because they love sharing their knowledge. Ashley Hand and Derek Bose are two great examples of our adjunct faculty. On the next slide, we have a list of our master's degrees, which are in many different applied fields: the Master of Science, the Master of Professional Studies for our Emergency and Security Studies programs, Master of Public Administration, and the Master of Liberal Arts, which is our one non-applied program, which is really focused on bringing the knowledge and expertise of arts and humanities faculty at Tulane to adult students. The next slide lists our graduate certificates, which are stackable, is the word that we use. With one exception, they are all 4 courses. And in every instance, the 4 courses in the certificate can be applied toward the master's degree as well. And the admissions process and admission standards are the same for the certificate programs as they are for the master's degree. So it's actually really simple to go from one to the other. If you change your mind partway through a certificate program or at the end, we can easily enroll you in the full master's degree. If you wanted to get a taste of it or wanted to get knowledge in a very specific field, but then want to continue, you can apply all the credits toward the master's. The one exception is Cyber Technology Fundamentals, which is 6 courses in information technology and is really geared toward people who want to earn a master's degree, but don't have the technical background or the academic background in IT or computer science. So those are our graduate certificates. And then the next slide has Postbaccalaureate Certificates, which is a group of programs that are made up actually of coursework at the undergraduate level in fields where graduate degrees may not be as relevant, or where really people are looking for the skills and knowledge, but not necessarily for the graduate degree. And each of these requires that you have a bachelor's degree in order to enroll. So all of these programs, again, in various applied fields, and we are happy to answer questions about each of them. And then, like I said, we have webinars in each of these areas where you can learn more, and we're also happy to follow up with you. The next slide talks about one of the ways in which we demonstrate the value that we offer for working adults. And that is that if you are studying for a degree in a field where you already have a lot of knowledge, you can actually work with our faculty to document your knowledge in a portfolio that matches up against the learning objectives of specific coursework in the master's degree. We work with you to develop the portfolio, and then a faculty member actually grades it, and you can earn up to 6 credits or 2 courses to count toward the master's degree. And it's called portfolio assessment. And again, it's one of the ways that we are, friendly to people who come in with a lot of experience. And then the last area that I'll talk about real quickly before I hand things off to Sheila is student support and success. So every one of our graduate and post-baccalaureate students has a dedicated academic advisor. The advisor can help you decide which courses to take when, in what order, can help you think through how many courses to take at a time in order to do well in school, but also balance school with all the other things that you need to get done. And if you run into a problem, which people sometimes do, right? Because that's how life is, whether it's work related or family related, or sometimes people get sick. We will work with you. In particular, our academic advisors will work with you to figure out how to handle the situation and to navigate it so that hopefully you can stay in school and stay on track while you're dealing with whatever you need to deal with. And that's pretty common. And I'll just say that for myself as a faculty member, that many of us, if not most of us, have been in similar situations. We have been working and going to school, and we understand that giving you flexibility is not the same thing as lowering standards, and that you can learn and have a rigorous program, but also, be able to work with us to figure out deadlines and priorities and things like that. We also have dedicated career advisor for the school who can work with you on things like your LinkedIn profile or your resume, or I don't know if people still use the phrase elevator speech, but your 45-second description of your experience and what you might bring to a job that you're interviewing for. We also have, of course, like I said, the faculty who are experienced in the field, bring their networks from the field, in many cases are helping students connect with internships and jobs while they're studying and post-graduation, and even actually on into their careers. And of course, like I said, at the beginning, this is all backed up by Tulane University and the fact that you become a permanent member of the Tulane community. And actually, just before I hand things off to Sheila to talk more about the specifics of the admissions process and things like that, I wanted to say that, now is a really good time to be considering graduate education for sure. We're in the cycle of admitting students for the fall. Things are starting to look up in the world. The economy is opening up again. But at the same time, working adults are realizing that that their skills and knowledge are a commodity and have value in the labor market. And people are, sometimes making changes in their career tracks, or thinking a little bit differently about work than they did. And that's a great place for SOPA to come in, because that's why we exist. And so I'd say I congratulate you for thinking about going back to school at this point. And SOPA, with our focus on career advancement and with our small class sizes and very accessible academic advisement and faculty, is a great place to do it. So we look forward to getting to know you more through this process. And with that, I will be quiet and let Sheila talk.
Thanks, Suri. And let me just welcome you all again. I'm always appreciative of prospective students who take some time at the end of what I'm assuming are very busy days. Some of you all may even still be at work to learn about our programs. We know how excellent they are, and we're always excited to share that information with you all. So we're going to go through a little bit of the application process, some application deadlines, some information about tuition, but I always like to let students know that there's going to be times for questions at the end of this webinar. And also, if we finish the webinar and you have questions tomorrow or the next day, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We like to get to know students through the application process. And so we want to let you know there's no question that you can't feel comfortable reaching out. So a little bit about our tuition at SOPA. So part of our sort of philosophy and our commitment to working adults is also our tuition rate. We are intentionally a lower tuition price point than the rest of the university. And we intentionally have very low fees on top of our tuition because we know that you all are juggling lots of obligations in life, obligations for your time, and certainly obligations for your money. So our tuition rate for the fall, which is the next term that we're enrolling for, is $1,119 per credit hour. Most of our classes are 3 credit hours. So that's a little over $3,300 per class. Most of our students take 1 to 2 classes per semester, and it's up to you whether you take 1 or 2. Obviously, if you take more a semester, you will move through a little bit more quickly. We have very nominal fees on top of that. I like to point that out to students because I know that you're savvy consumers and that you compare tuition rates when doing so between Tulane SOPA and other schools. Please intentionally look into fees on top of tuition rates. There are schools, even within our own city, that when you start adding the fees on top of the tuition rate, it can almost double what you'll pay per semester. That is not the case at SOPA, very intentionally. Even with all of that said, we do know that it is an investment and a commitment of resources to come back to school, and most of our students do apply for financial aid. We encourage our students to do that. My sort of bit of advice is when starting the application for admission, also start filling out your paperwork for financial aid. We require the FAFSA form, which is the federal form for financial aid. And the FAFSA form does require several pieces of information that you have to submit, and it can take several weeks to go through the process. So don't delay that. There's no downside applying for financial aid early on in the process, and it actually will only speed up your ability to make decisions because you'll get your information about your package sooner. Some of the types of aid that we offer are federal grants and loans. We are very proudly a yellow ribbon school. We do have a commitment to veterans and active duty military. And we offer several 20% tuition discounts to different groups of prospective students: active duty and military and veterans, active and retired public safety personnel like first responders. Also, if you have received your bachelor's degree from a minority serving institution, such as an HBCU or a Hispanic serving institution, we do offer a 20% discount on our graduate programs. So please, feel free to look at our website or ask us some questions. We certainly hope that you will be able to qualify for one of those and that it will make getting your graduate or post-bac a little bit easier. And then, of course, the slide before this that Suri talked about, the credit for prior learning. If you can demonstrate that you have the knowledge of 1 or 2 classes and you don't have to take those classes, that is a savings of tuition and time. So these are all the ways that we try to work with students to help you only pay for what you need to pay for and also move you through towards your goal. So our application process is intentionally straightforward. That doesn't mean that from time to time students don't have questions, but our application is an electronic application. It lives on our website. So if you go, our website address is at the bottom of this page, sopa.tulane.edu. When you go to our website, you'll see a big apply button at the top. You just click that and it opens you up into our application portal. Our application requires several pieces of information, one of which is a current or valid government ID. For most folks, that's a driver's license or a passport. You can simply use your phone to take a picture and upload that to the application. We will need transcripts from schools from which you've received credit prior to applying to Tulane undergraduate. Also, if you've taken some graduate courses, send those along to us as well. We do not require the GRE. We do not feel that the GRE necessarily indicates success in graduate programs. There's a lot of data out there around that, and we subscribe to that belief as well. So hopefully that will be a relief for those of you who are not fans of standardized tests. Some of our programs do require a resume. Some require some written statements. So that varies by program, but you will see those on the application most likely. And then finally, we have a $50 application fee. However, as our thank you to you all for spending some time with us at the end of a busy day, is we waive that fee. We've captured your attendance at this webinar. And when you apply, it will automatically be applied and waived from your application. If for some reason you do apply and you do see the fee, email me. It takes literally 20 seconds for me to go ahead and waive the application fee. And if you have already applied, if you're in the process of applying and have paid that fee already, I can refund it to you. So please feel free to send me an email about that. So some application deadlines that are important to keep in mind. However, these also live on our website. So if you forget the dates, they're easily accessible. The term for which we are currently accepting students and enrolling is the fall term. August 1st is our application deadline. We do offer early enrollment scholarships. However, the one for fall has passed. For those of you who are thinking of starting in the spring term, which is our January semester, our application for that is open as well. The application deadline is not until January 1st. However, if you apply now, which I would encourage you to do, and register for classes by December 1, you will get our early enrollment scholarship, which is $500 towards your first semester of tuition. So there's no reason, if you know that you want to apply and come to Tulane, go ahead and get your application in early and register early. It's just an easy way to save $500 off your first semester. And then for our summer term, which will be a year from now, our application deadline is May 1, but once again, go ahead and get that application in. And if you register for classes by April 25th, you will also get the $500 scholarship. So I hope that that's a little bit of incentive for those of you who are sitting on the fence. And I also hope it helps ease your way into your graduate study and that we can help support you a little bit. So my contact information is on the screen. It also lives on the website as well, but I want to reiterate that we do enjoy hearing from prospective students. It's how we start building our relationships with you all, and any questions, feel free to reach out. But we do have some time if anybody wants to either drop their question in the chat or, sorry, how about if they just take themselves off of mute?
Yeah, you could also just talk, right?
Yeah.
And while people are thinking about any questions they might have, I'll just say a last word about the incredible diversity of our student body in every way, in terms of educational background, racially and ethnically, in terms of age. Our students range from 23 to 77 at the graduate level, literally. And in terms of how people navigate through graduate studies. So like Sheila said, we have students who are working full time and take one or hopefully two classes at a time. We also actually have students who are taking 3 classes at a time, and some who are taking 4 and actually finishing a full graduate degree in 1 year. I know 2 students who are doing that this summer. So we have a tremendous amount of flexibility and can sort of adapt our programs to whatever your circumstances are. And again, hope that you'll seriously consider coming to school with us. I see Amanda's question about internships and capstones. So each of our master's degrees has a capstone of some kind. In most cases, it is an applied research capstone where you are bringing together knowledge from all of the previous courses and using that knowledge to do research or a project that is focused on the industry. It could be helping a company out with a specific challenge that they're facing, or a nonprofit. We do have internships as well. In the case of the Master of Public Administration, we actually require the internship for people who come into the program with very little work or volunteer experience in the field of public administration, and we help you to find the internship and to work with a supervisor in the internship. And even in the Master of Liberal Arts, we have a capstone course there as well. And that one is more focused on writing and synthesizing the knowledge that you've gained throughout the program, as well potentially as doing original research. So the capstone is the culmination of your learning in the program, and the specific details vary depending on the master's degree. Any other questions that people have? Well, again, we really do appreciate, like Sheila said, we appreciate the fact that you took the time to come to this webinar this evening, and you'll hear from us, but we also will look forward to hearing from you. So the question about whether if all the classes are online. So it depends on the program. The vast majority of our graduate courses are online. In specific programs, the Master of Liberal Arts and in kinesiology and emergency and security studies, we do offer some classes in the classroom in New Orleans at our Uptown campus. In every case, other than the Master of Liberal Arts, you can do the entire program online if you want to. The MLA is a mix. You can take some online courses, but actually most of the courses are offered in the classroom. And the portfolio assessment is available for the Masters in Emergency Management. So if you're coming in with experience in that field, you should absolutely take a look at the courses and consider talking to the faculty and working with us to develop a portfolio. Any other questions?
Thank you for answering that, Zuri. Absolutely.
Well, again, we do look forward to getting to know you. Thanks for your time. SOPA is an amazing school, and that's one of the reasons I, as dean, come to these webinars, is that I love getting to know our future students early on in the process. So again, thanks and have a good evening, and we will be in touch. Bye, everyone.